In this video, I'm going to highlight how to use MyStatLab, which is part of this course. Now, the first thing you need to do is to access MyStatLab only starting from Blackboard. Don't go to MyStatLab directly using your web browser. And the reason for that is that you want to make sure that you access the correct course, because I have set up several courses for several semesters, and you want to be sure that you reach the course in which you are registered. And the best way to do that is to start from Blackboard and go to MyStatLab tab and then click MyStatLab course home. This will take you to the Pearson MyStatLab page, and for the very first time you do this, you will be asked to register and make payment for access. And remember that you get 2 weeks access without having to make the payment right away. So you can go ahead and use those 2 weeks to get acquainted with the system, and then you make the payment before the expiry of the grace period. Now, once you are in MyStatLab, you do want to make sure that you have reached the correct course. Now, you can, at the top you'll see the title of the course and the CRN number, and make sure that that matches with the CRN number of the course in which you are registered. Now, after that, you use Pearson MyStatLab for two things basically. One is to access the multimedia e-text, and then quizzes and tests where you take the chapter tests. These are the two primary resources that you'll be using in MyStatLab, but there are other things that are available that you may want to look at, like for example multimedia library. And if you select a particular chapter, say for example chapter 1, and then you can select what you want to see, and that will give you a list of resources available for that chapter, and then you can review those. And there is another resource that is available that is important, is StatCrunch, because we will be using Excel in the most part, but there are certain things which are easier done using StatCrunch, and I will point out the cases where you have to use StatCrunch, and then you would use StatCrunch for that, and then you can click this link to access StatCrunch and this link to access data files from the textbook. Okay. Now let's look at the multimedia e-text. Now when you click that link, you will see the list of chapters here, and you can go to any particular chapter directly. Say for example you want to go to chapter 6, click on chapter 6, and it gives you the sections available, and if you click the very first link, that will take you to the chapter, okay, right here, and also gives you the list of all the other chapters that you can access in the left side pane. You can use these links to visit other chapters if you like. Now if you want to look at the entire content, then you can click this link here. That will give you the contents and also links to the other chapters. Then there is this study plan, which is optional. This will not be graded, so this is for you to practice before you take a test. This gives you an idea as to what the test questions will be like. So there are two things here. One is practice. Here if you click practice tab, it will give you a set of questions for you to practice, and you can click this down arrow and select any particular question that you want to look at, and you can check answers in your practice problems. Then if you want to do a quick mock-up of the test, you can check the Quiz Me, and that will get you started. And of course this is set for 5 questions at a time, and 80% are required to pass the Quiz Me. Of course this is only for your practice. This is not graded. It is not going to be part of your course grade. This is only for your practice. So if you click I'm ready to start, and then you can go through the test in a kind of a test format. Now when you're ready to take the test, then you'll click the Quiz Me tests. Now when you're ready to take the test, you will click the Quizzes and Tests link. And that will open and show you the list of tests that are available for you to take. Now you click any one of the whichever test that you are ready to take, you click that and say I am ready to start, and then you will have the questions and you start answering the questions one by one. And now there is one thing I want to point out, that when you have a problem like this, when you have data and when you see a little icon like that, and you can click that icon and you can copy the data into Excel, and then you can do the computations using the classwork as your guide and then answer the questions. Now sometimes questions will have an icon like this, but the data is not presented in the main screen, but you have to click this icon for the data to open up. And again, there will be an icon like that which you can click and copy to Excel, or you can copy to clipboard and then paste it into Excel. And once you have it in Excel, again, like I said before, you can follow the classwork template and get the work done and then enter the answers in the test. So to wrap up, there are two things that are the most important: the multimedia e-text and the quizzes and tests. And you may also look at study plan as an optional resource and the multimedia library. Okay. And then you will be using StatCrunch off and on when I point it out to you. But most of the work we'll be doing in Excel, but there are certain things like box plot and stem and leaf plot which are easier to do in StatCrunch, very difficult to do in Excel.